Welcome to the Zesty Ginger Podcast. We are Megan and Dr. Alex. We are here for transformation. Yours, ours, and the collective. Personal and professional for practitioners. But not just any transformation. Compassionate transformation. Because between the two of us, we have seemed to have done things the painful way. Let our pitfalls become your stepping stones. We aren't afraid to share our raw and vulnerable truths in order to help you transform your thinking, your body, your heart, and your soul. Combining 15 years of functional medicine with brain-based habit change to lead you to the best life possible in a compassionate way. Compassion, yes, yet plan to roll up your sleeves. Transformation requires your participation. And a quick reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your doctor, not this doctor, before making changes. Now let's get into the episode.
Hello there, folks. Lovely friends. Welcome to the podcast and welcome back to the series of possibility. We're getting close to the end. You all are just cruising. So, as always, go back to the beginning if you haven't started there and make sure you're filling in your workbook. Yes? Cool. Cool. Did you guys know what functional medicine practitioners that they all have a favorite dog breed? Did you know? Can you guess what it is? It's the lab. Aw, I had a half black lab growing up. Aren't they the best? I think so. Alrighty, all jokes aside, let's get into today's topic. And today's topic is, well, it goes back to a very simple quote. And the quote is, if you can't handle what you have now, don't expect more. I want to tell you the magical way in which I ended up getting a lake house and a thing that saved me from thousands of dollars and depression when I bought the lake house. But first, let's talk about what happens when you get something new in your life. How does it feel like in the real time, the expansion and the contraction in your beliefs coming up when you are going from one identity to another? When you're shifting, when you're finally getting something new that you wanted. Because maybe you've been a person with headaches for many years and that is your identity. So you work your days around it, your outings around it, you get more help from your family when it happens. And there's this whole dance that you realize that you do that maybe you didn't even know was present. Now, next, you came over to our Health Transformation Accelerator. And you went through the first 6 steps and your headache's gone. Often, this is where people stop, but that is what step 7 in our framework is called the up level, the pushback from your brain, which is wired to do things effectively and efficiently. And this is new. And then many people have this relapse because they did not fully push through the up level to the new identity. And they say, right, because there's all this resistance right before the breakthrough, and they're like, oh, this didn't work at all. I must be on the wrong path. I must need a different protocol, a different teacher, a different trainer, a different program, a different diet, a different workout plan. We had a mentor in business who always said, girls, it's time to put your big girl panties on. And up-leveling is like that. Can you wear the big girl panties of the new identity that you're going into? Because there is a moment where we're stepping into something new and it takes us being a new person. So back to that quote. It was from James Wedmore podcast, actually, where he said, if you can't handle your current problems, don't expect bigger and better things to manifest in your life. So sometimes when we get a goal, it doesn't magically look or feel the way we thought it would. This is what happened to me when I did actually manifest the most perfect lake house. Speaking of lake houses, did you know that water heaters only last about 20 years? Yeah, well, I didn't, but I learned that really quickly. When we bought that lake house, It was a huge deal. Not only did we buy it, it was the exact place that I had been visualizing for a year, for the exact amount of money that I had available. And it magically appeared on the market that summer when everyone said there's no properties that come up like this. They stay in the family, they're boutique. It was over 4th of July. Somehow no one else looked at it, which is basically that is when everyone is there. It was super magical until, well, within 10 minutes of walking into my first lake house purchase ever, we turned the water on to wash our hands and pop! 60 gallons of water started to rush out to the bottom, from the bottom of the water heater into the bathroom. So this place was built in 2000. Here we are 20 years out. It made it, and it waited until the first 10 minutes of my ownership. Pop, there it goes, emptying out all of the old. Just flowing right out, emptying out all of the old. Do you think that that is a coincidence? So anyway, luckily I had been listening to James Wedmore on a podcast about business all the way on the airplane on the way to the lake house. So I had that in my mind that if you can't handle your current problems, don't expect to manifest bigger and better things in life. There are no problems, only feedback. So I'm thinking, all right, well, someday I want a huge retreat center, so I better not panic at a little bit of water. Like, stay calm, Megan. You've got this. I can handle this. Just a little water. 2 hours, 20 sopping towels later, we had the water heater drained, the mess cleaned up, and the fan pointing at the floor. Now, I have a history, which many of you know, of having purchased another home that ended up with having so much mold damage we couldn't move in for 6 months, and it costed us $100,000 to remediate and taking down entire walls and part of the house. So to say that water flow had the potential to send me into a very negative spiral is to say the least. So the level of calm that I was able to keep during the process was, for me, astronomical. I kept saying to myself, if you can't handle your current problems, don't expect bigger and better things in your life. I was repeating it. I can handle any situation that comes my way. There are no problems, only feedback. I can handle any situation that comes my way. There are no problems, only feedback. And I went to bed and I totally trusted. I did actually just go to bed. I trusted everything would work out. I knew it would be taken care of the next day. I just felt it too. I just felt it in my body. I didn't know quite how, but I got the sense that it would be okay. And it's like, I can handle this, right? Would I be able to handle my retreat center or my jet? I don't know. My spaceship. I can handle this. So I woke up, took action, meaning I actually did some things, right? And wasn't just sitting there and like imagining it would be magic, but I did call a plumber that my dad had suggested, and since his plumber was busy with another project and he didn't get an answer. So I was only going to be on the property for a couple of days. So I was really hoping to have the hot water working. And at the same time, I just didn't worry about it too much. Everything will work out. And everything did work out actually way better than I could have even planned. So if you had told me that I was going to have hot water by lunchtime the next day, I wasn't going to have to lift a finger, and it was going to be paid for by somebody else, you would have thought I was crazy, right? But that's exactly what happened. I stayed calm. I trusted. I was stepping into a new identity. I am now a person who owns this home and can handle it. And everything worked out. By 10 a.m., the plumber showed up at my door with a water heater. Apparently, my dad had scheduled a plumber a couple weeks before for one of his apartments, but hadn't remembered that he was coming. So when he showed up, my dad was like, oh, actually, I'm going to redirect you to my daughter's house. And my dad owns a hardware store, so he sent him with one of the water heaters that he had in stock. So within the hour, the guy had left. He had the water all set up, and I never got up from my puzzle. And the previous owner found out what had happened and felt horrible that happened the first day in the place and insisted on paying for the replacement. So not too bad for the first night in the place. Because what if I had decided instead, this is not the right lake house, like abort, right? Get out, let's sell it. This is a sign I need to get out, and just didn't deal with the water, right? When the water pipes burst, sometimes we let that ruin the whole experience, and this is what the up level can be like. So this is what we see in health journeys as well. Someone is very close to a new health identity, to breaking through, and they feel the pushback, or like they've taken a step backwards, and they start to question everything. What if it isn't that you're doing anything wrong? What if this is just an up level, a pushback from your brain and body because it feels different and it is different? I mean, after all, if we want a different result in this body, in this 3D world, then it's important we do something different. And that will feel different to our brain and our neurology, right? So have you ever been just a few inches from gold and called the whole thing off? I'd love for you to think about that and share this with your friends, and make sure you're filling out the workbook and tag us on social media. We want to hear your takeaways from this. It's been so fun to hear your feedback as you go. And know that as your brain rewires, you will feel different, and that's okay. And that's at the same time, as you learn more and more to tune in and trust your intuition, to listen to your unconscious mind, you will be able to know when it's time to change direction and when it's time to hold steady. That this is not getting in the way. This is actually just the change in the beliefs getting in the way. It's not the actual thing you're doing that's a problem. Okay. Hopefully you've gotten the audio so you can be programming this in daily at zestyginger.com/meditations. That's a great way to rewire more quickly. So you can go over there and grab the $10 audio. Is it $20 audio? Whatever it is, it's a very, very good deal. It's part of our $2,500 program. So share with a friend. Friends who transform together are buddies for life. And we'd love to end with a little bit of possibility.
If you were to ask me whether or not I was a pessimistic person or an optimistic person, I think I would always tell you that I'm an optimist. I tend to see possibility almost everywhere that I go, but I will be the first to admit that I can absolutely get stuck in, well, that's just the way it is, or those are the cards that I've been dealt, or it will always be that way. And I have been proven wrong. I've been able to take some of those knowing it's always going to be a particular way and shift those around. And one of the ways, though, that I was pretty convinced was I was born with it, was this innate, deep, almost instinctual fear, deep fear, almost primal fear of snakes. And I'm a nature lover. I love all the animals on the planet, but for a long time I would have told you, except for snakes. And when I went through the neurolinguistic programming training with Megan and Dr. Alex, I was pretty shocked and amazed and surprised that by the end of the training, I was actually able to hike on trails out in the wilderness, go biking on mountain biking trails, see snakes, and not react with the most primal screams and uncontrollable fear that I would normally have in that situation. And so it just delights me to no end to know that anything, quite literally, anything is possible. We just need a way to shift the mind around and change our neurological pathways so that we can create that possibility.
Thanks for coming out to hang with us on the podcast. It is our goal to transform the way women are treated in healthcare. And we need your help. We need your help to get the word out. We have a lot